I'm here with Sam Atwater from Rutherglen Brewing. He's the head brewer down there. So welcome, Sam.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're down here in Beechworth for the Hops Festival, and we've been checking out all the stuff down here at Bridge Roads. But we're pretty excited to talk about this range of beer from Rutherglen, which is going to be part of our new Brewer Direct program for next month. So tell us a little bit about the brewery and about the history and the story behind Rutherglen.
Yeah, so Rutherglen's located in northeast Victoria, sort of about half an hour out of Beechworth, if you know where Beechworth is. Been running for about coming on 2 years now. It's a really small brewery, sort of a cafe style brewery. Use a 200 litre system. That 200 litre system we do double batches to go into 500 litre fermenters, so our probably total capacity at the brewery is 2,000 litres, so really small volumes that we're putting out.
And it's interesting because I sort of went there thinking, like, brew house, it's going to be an industrial type thing, but really it's a restaurant in the main street, and you walk in through there, and then you sort of walk out the back through the bar, and then into the shed, which is the brew house out the back. So the brewery is not it's not really like a brewery in the sense that it's not a brew pub that you'd expect to be able to sit at the bar and drink. It's more it's a restaurant, isn't it?
Yeah, so the core business that the owners, Gavin and Fiona, it's a restaurant, and then they started that in 2012, and then they decided to sort of expand and put a cafe, I like to call it cafe style brewery. Essentially it's sort of like that cafe, really small. It's not that industrial type that you were talking about, more really small boutique. Out in the back of a shed. I tend to sometimes, it's almost like the home brewer's dream out in the back shed.
So they've got the restaurant at the front, then you've got the sort of bar, and then you've got the beer garden area, and and you're growing some of your own hops and stuff there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a really dynamic business. So there's that fine dining restaurant aspect to it, where people can come in and have a really nice sort of fine dining meal, or there's that really more relaxed pizza cafe style. Sit out in the corner and have a beer and have a pizza. So it's a really dynamic sort of style of brewery.
Great. And so from a brewing point of view, you've actually come from the wine industry. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I was probably in the wine industry about 3 years before locally in Rutherglen. It was probably one of those things where I always wanted to be a brewer. Really hard to get into the industry. A job popped up locally in Rutherglen, winemaking, and I thought that might be my little foot into the industry. So started winemaking, really enjoyed it, but then the brewery popped up as I was halfway through doing my winemaking degree, and it still was a no-brainer for me. I sort of went for it, and now here I am.
Pilsner. Alright, so we're going to have a look at the beers here. We've got a range of 6 core beers which are going to be included in this kit. So tell us about this first one, the Pilsner.
Yeah, so the Pilsner is sort of that entry, every sort of brewery has that entry sort of level style beer. Ours is the Pilsner, sort of a little bit of a take on the Czech style Pilsner, so it uses a large amount of SARS hops, finishing hops, to get that really spicy herbal sort of finish. But it's got quite a rounded sort of malt profile, which you don't see in a lot of Pilsners these days. They're really crisp, but this has sort of got some malt profile in there, but it finishes nice and clean and dry.
Yeah. And so lagering, what's the period?
Yeah, so lagering minimum 6 weeks, longer if I can, depending on scheduling and things like that. But 6 weeks lagering. Cleans it up nicely and clarifies it. And
nice, definitely nice and clean, nice sort of foamy head, and you can pick up the malt, but you can also pick up the sort of spiciness as well, which is nice. And everybody knows I'm a pretty big Pilsner fan, so
you sort of get that upfront sort of malt profile, but then it cleans up nicely with a little bit of bitterness and things like that.
Yeah, it's nice and sharp. Okay, so next one up is the Saison. What's the story behind this one?
So we have our core beers, and then we do some seasonals. So this came up as one of our seasonals over that spring sort of summer period. Just sort of traditional style Saison, Belgian yeast strain. It's come out nice and approachable. Really nice sort of citrusy, spicy profile. It's a little bit, 5.7% I think it is. So a little bit higher alcohol. But it works really well, and a lot of the locals are right into their craft beers. It's been a hit with them.
Well, the good thing about a Saison is really anybody can approach it.
Yeah,
even if you're not a beer drinker, My wife, who doesn't really like beers, occasionally I can squeeze a saison and she'll give it a try.
Yeah,
especially with the meals that they're serving there, that'd go well.
Yep, definitely. I think it's just the name that intimidates people sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's funny, a way that we described it at the bar, I told the waitresses to describe it at the bar, it's sort of like a Belgian summer ale.
Yeah.
So when people hear that summer ale, I'll try that. Once you get it in there, people now say, tend to see it's really approachable style.
And it's refreshing, it's easy to drink, and goes with a lot of food too, which is great for the restaurant.
Yep, definitely, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so next one here we've got the 7-star Pale Ale. What's the story with this one?
Just another pale ale, American style pale ale. Uses predominantly a lot of Galaxy hops and Cascade in there, a little bit of Amarillo as well. So uses an English base malt, so there's a little bit of malt profile to back it up. But again, another sessionable, easy drinking pale ale.
Yep. So you do grow a little bit of your own hops on premise, but that's not in this one, is it?
No, so obviously we had the Hops Festival here today. We had a little bit of Cascade that was growing, so we used that as, it was essentially this pale ale, just with a different hop schedule, so we use those fresh hops in this pale ale instead of the Galaxy and all those. So if this ends up being a more tropical sort of profile, whereas today's one was more sort of Cascade, that citrusy, spicy sort of profile.
There's still plenty of citrus in this.
Well, Cascade's one of my favourite hops. It probably gets forgotten about a lot these days because everyone's gone on these big new world hops with big fruity aromas, but I just like the classic citrusy.
It is. And that's a classic sort of American style pale ale, but what would be becoming more common for Australian pale ales. A bit like the Pack, that sort of thing. That sort of nice, crisp, refreshing, drinkable, sessionable, but also with that good hint of hops and that sort of nice citrus notes as well. So very nice. So this one is the Amber Ale. What's the story with this one?
So American sort of style Amber Ale. Not over the top American style. Sort of tried to hit the mark where it's nice and balanced, so it's approachable. Everyone can sort of enjoy it. So it's got a little bit of that sweet crystal sort of caramelly notes, but not over the top. And then it's got a sort of generous hop profile using some classic citrusy Cascade hops and Centennial. So Cascade Centennial all the way through. No dry hopping, just all kettle hops. So wanted to sort of keep it down to a minimum.
So it's a nice colour. It's a bit hard to see inside in that sort of weird light, but it's definitely like a nice ambery colour and a good creamy head. The malt profile is quite strong.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those, you want to have a point of difference in your lineup. So we got a pale ale and an IPA, then you got your amber to get that sort of malt profile style in there. But it's not overwhelming. Like you can quite easily on a hot day sit there and drink a few pots of this without being overwhelmed with malt.
It's sort of almost bordering on that sort of red style. It's got enough malt and sort of the honey or the sweetness about it that it almost falls into that red profile.
Yeah, I definitely think if you put some sort of dry hop schedule in there, you could probably lift it to that sort of more that red style.
And what's the ABV? It's
just 5%.
5%, which is again sessional.
Yeah, and that's the aim. We've always aimed to have sessional beers in the lineup. We get a lot of people coming through who just want to sit down and have a nice meal, and you don't want to put some big overwhelming beer in front of them.
That's very tasty, and I think people that it's one of those things. It's easy drinking, but it's also got a lot going on, which is nice.
Definitely, absolutely.
Okay, so this one's the IPA. What's the go with this one?
Yeah, so every tap lineup needs a big hobby beer, and this is the one. So sort of really classic style. I try to get that really American style IPA. You sort of don't see them a lot these days. Everyone's trying to get those really big, over-the-top fruity ones. So I just tried to go for those West Coast. There's Centennial, Chinook, but there is Mosaic, and they're sort of rounded out with a bit of rounded fruit flavour. But essentially, it's Chinook's sort of the main play with Centennial in there. So big sort of citrusy, grapefruity.
Did you say you don't see much big hop IPA these days?
No, well, you don't see those classic American IPAs that like those really citrus profile, Yeah, I just see those New World hops coming in a lot, and sometimes I don't like beers that just taste like fruit.
Right.
Like you were talking earlier about like really over the top fruited IPAs, and it's not a character I generally like.
Right.
I like a nice clean IPA with a nice sort of citrus hop profile, a little bit of tropical in there.
Yeah, and that's what you get. Is it's not massive hop, but
No.
You can pick it up a little bit of citrus.
Yeah.
But it's pretty sessional because
Yeah.
it's only
It's 6.2%.
6.2, so it's a little bit
A
stronger.
little bit higher alcohol.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another one that gets a lot of comments that people can have a really good session, sort of session on and drink a lot of them in the one session. So that's a good indication that it's a well produced IPA, because you should be able to drink a few IPAs definitely.
And these are all pretty much, because they're stock range, but they're also pretty much true to style as well. That's what I'm finding is like they're just good examples of the style.
Yeah, so this is my sort of first gig in that sort of brewery scene, and I just wanted to get those really core styles, traditional styles down pat before you start experimenting too much. I wanted to get the styles that everyone's used to, make sure you get them right, and true to style as much as we can, and then have everyone enjoying it.
Beautiful. So this is the last one in the range. It's the porter.
Yeah, so it makes up our darkest sort of style in the range. 5.5% porter. It's a sort of milk style porter, I suppose you can say. It's uses lactose in it to retain a little bit of that sweetness, just so you get those sort of desserty, chocolatey flavours. But yeah, like I said, it's 5.5%, so it's not like an over the top porter. A big style porter, so it's quite sessionable as well.
So do you want to take on the challenge? What's the difference between a porter and a stout, or you want to just flick past that one out the back?
No, the best thing people do ask me that a little bit. So the best thing I describe, you get the stouts. Obviously, you got that roasted barley, so you get that really roasted sort of flavour. Where as porters sort of play on more of that chocolatey sort of notes. That's the best way I describe.
It's a nice creamy mouthfeel too, which is what. Although some porters like sort of side towards more like a doppelbock style sometimes, where they're a lot thinner on the mouthfeel and just like not so intense. But this is sort of probably more towards the stout style, which is a thicker mouthfeel and more creaminess. Yeah,
I suppose that's where that lactose plays in, so it retains a lot of that sweetness, and that's what gives you that mouthfeel.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dark malt used in there, I always like a good porter that has a little bit of that dark malt character. It gets a little bit of that acidity that you get from dark malt. So you've got a little bit of that acidity, so it's not too over the top and thick and too rich or anything like that. It almost like cleans the palate up a little bit. Makes it that sessional.
It's actually quite refreshing on the end. It doesn't finish dark and heavy like you'd expect it. I mean, some porters do.
Yeah.
It's quite a light finish, isn't it?
Yeah. So, talking earlier about that, we've always tried to design our beers to be sessionable. So this is another one. Although it's dark, it is sessionable.
Yeah.
So it goes through all our core beers. They're really easy to drink. But if you want to sort of have a think about it, you can, but if you don't want to think about it, you can just enjoy it.
Yeah, and you said that before, that's sort of one of the ways you like to brew is it's like, you know, if you're a craft beer lover and you want to really indulge and you want to think it and pull it apart, you can.
Yeah.
But if you're just somebody who wants to have a beer with a meal, you can just enjoy it and it's easy drinking.
Yeah, I think it's just the way the business is set up. There's a fine dining restaurant. I've always not wanted to throw big over-the-top beers in front of people, so my mantra's sort of always been that if you want to think about it, you can think about it, but if you don't want to think about it, you can just drop it down. So.
Well, I think that's a good message to end on, and you know, that's a nice drop to finish. The range is really solid. You know, I think you've represented each style really well, and it's a credit to you and to Rutherglen.